Hi and welcome to this video. In this video, let's do an overview of Hestia CP. So in the last video, you saw how to install Hestia CP. Now let's do an overview. So first of all, to log in, if you want to log in, just go to your IP address and then you add the port that you set up. You did see how I changed my port in the installation process. If you didn't watch the installation process, just go back and watch that video. Here you see we have users. This will list the users in your account. Right now I'm using the admin user, which is the default user in your control panel. And then we have web. This is where you will be adding the different websites that you want to run on your Hestia control panel. And you're going to see how to do that in a moment. DNS. So I will not be working with DNS on Hestia CP, but I installed it nonetheless. I'm just going to use Cloudflare for all my DNS records. But if you want to use Hestia CP, you can also do that as well. There's a video I did about child name servers on CyberPanel, and if you watch that video, you're going to see exactly how to do it, and it's the same process on Hestia CP. And then for mail, this is where you're going to see everything about mail. You can create mail, you can see the mail, the different accounts that you have, the different mail domains, you can set them up there. And then databases, you can set up databases, you can change passwords for your databases, users, and so on. All that can be created here. And then cron, you can set up cron, and you can see any cron jobs that are available currently. And then you can also set up a backup and download the backup. And if you want to look at your server details, just come here and you're going to see all the details for your server, all the processes, the jobs that are running. You can see all these are currently running. I installed multi-PHP, and that's why I have all these PHP versions running here. And you can also see that I have Nginx and I don't have Apache. So if you watch this tutorial from the beginning, I said I didn't want to install Apache. I was going to use Nginx and PHP FPM. So what else is here? If you want to change any settings about your user, just click there. If you want to log out, you can click there to log out. The next thing, let's see how you can add a website. So the first thing, before you add a website, make sure that you take your IP address and you create different records. You come here to Cloudflare. If you want to use Cloudflare, that is, add your site here, add your domain to Cloudflare, and then you can add the different records. Just come here under DNS on Cloudflare and add the different records. You can see here I already have one for my control panel, and all the details, the different subdomains, you can set them up here on Cloudflare. Okay, you can see I have an A record. I do have a CNAME for www, and we're going to need that if you want to set up a website on Hestia CP. So let's see that. Let me just give you an overview of how you can set up a new website on Hestia CP. So I'll copy that and let me just come back here and I will go into web. So by the time you're watching this tutorial, I will have deleted this server. So you probably won't get access to any of these IP addresses or any of these links. So if you want to add a website here, maybe you want to host a new website, just click there on add web domain. And actually this is something that I should cover. You can see you're being told create a standard user account before adding web domains. So I'm just doing this as a sample, but what you should do first of all is come here under users and then you set up a new user. Okay. So you need to come here and add a user and use that user to set up all your websites or different websites. You can have different users for different websites. Just try not to use the admin user. I'm using the admin just because I don't want to set up all these accounts, but you can set this up if you want to. Just click there on users and look at the admin user. So it is strongly recommended that you create a standard user. Make sure you do that as I've shown you. And for me, I'm just going to click on continue, which is not advised. This is not secure. What you need to do is create a different account that will have your websites, or you can even have different users for different websites. So there I will add a domain. So make sure once you create that user, you log in as that user and then you use that specific user to set up your websites. That is for security purposes. So for this, I'll just click on create DNS zones, and this is just to give me the different records that I may need to copy from here and then add them to Cloudflare. So I will enable them. If you want to send and receive mail, just click on enable mail for this domain. That's all you need to change. If you have other IP addresses, they can be listed here. Maybe you bought a different IP from Contabo, it will be listed here, and you can set up different sites on different IPs. So I'm just going to click there to save this site. Okay, once the website has been created, you can change different settings. That's just because there's a space before this. So I'll just remove the space. And then once again, I'll click there on create DNS records and then create and then enable mail. And then I will save. And now you can see that our domain that has been created successfully. If you look here, you'll see that we have two websites and we also have one zone. So we have a zone for this domain that we created and we have 15 records, and you can copy these records into Cloudflare. So I'll just come here under web and you're going to see how you can install your website on this, or you can just upload one. So for every website that you create, you can see you have this. You can visit the site, you can edit the settings for the site, you can access the logs for the site, and you can suspend it or even delete it if you don't need it anymore. So let's click on it once again, and we're going to enable Let's Encrypt for this website. So I'm just going to click on it, and before you try to enable Let's Encrypt, ensure that you have set up your A records and you have a www record as well. Okay, so you need the A record and the www record as well. So you can set that as a CNAME. You can also set it up as an A record. If I want to host WordPress on this website, I can change various things here. If I come here, you can enable web statistics. Of course, you want to see the visits for the site, and you can enable statistics authorizations, and you can enable domain redirection if you want to redirect this domain somehow. Maybe you want to redirect redirect visitors to www, redirect all visitors to that. You can do that as well. And then you can enable SSL. So use Let's Encrypt to enable SSL. And then enable automatic HTTPS redirection. That's going to redirect all traffic to your HTTPS domain. You can enable strict, and most of the times you definitely want to do that. Just enable HTTP strict because most browsers nowadays support that. And then here under advanced, you can change various settings. Just click on advanced and you can choose a template for Nginx. So if you want to run WordPress, you'll need to choose the WordPress template down there. And definitely, most definitely, you want to enable fast CGI. And with fast CGI, your website is going to load much faster. The cache is going to get stored on your server, and it's going to reduce the server load generally. So what you can do is you can increase this time. Once you know how often you usually update your website, you can even make this 1 day. You can make it 1 day if you want to, because 2 minutes, that's too short. And then backend template PHP FPM. Which version of PHP do you want to run? If you want to run a specific version, you can run that. WordPress, you can try PHP 8 for WordPress. WordPress already supports PHP 8. And then you can create a custom document root. So you can change the document root where this will be. And if you go to the file manager, we're going to go there in a moment. If you go to the file manager, then you'll see it wherever you decide to put it. So if you want to change the directory, you can just change the directory there, but I don't want to change that. I'll just use the default as it is. And then you can create FTP accounts for this. Maybe you want to give access to different people, then you can create users and then send these details to those users so that they can log into the website and set it up. So once you've changed and added all the settings that you want to add, the next thing that you want to do is you want to come up here and you want to click on save. We just need to give it some time for Let's Encrypt to give us a new certificate. This is not secure, but if I try to reload it, it should redirect us to HTTPS. Okay, so the website is there. Now you can add whatever you want in your site. So if you come here under web, you can change the different settings again if you want to. Let's go into files. Maybe you want to update, maybe you want to install WordPress here. You can install WordPress manually. Okay, so if you do want to install WordPress and you know how to install WordPress manually, back in the day when we used to install it manually, right? Without the fast installation, without the automatic installation that we have on most web hosts nowadays, we just used to bring the files into the public HTML here, and then you extract the WordPress files inside there, and then once you extract the files inside here, so remember you go into web, into the domain you want to go to, and then into public HTML, and then you can bring in the files, the WordPress files, just extract all of them inside here. If you want to exit to control panel, you can exit back to the control panel. And once you're here, so for you to install WordPress, let's assume that you've gone under files and you've extracted the WordPress files. The next step is for you to create a database, or you can do this before you even upload the files. So if you go into your DB, you can create a new database. You can add a database. Make sure that you're using this with a new user that is not the admin user. The admin user is default on every Hestia control panel. So make sure that you don't use it for setting up your sites and anything else that you need for your site. So we'll just continue. So what you're going to do is you're going to give the database a name. Let's just call it DB2. And remember that this usually takes the username first as a prefix. Okay, so the name for your database will be that, depending on the user that you're using. So copy the name from there, and then of course you want MySQL, that's the one we installed, and then the username for the user, the username for the database, you can set up a new one. And just remember that this is the user now, this entire thing. The prefix will be the username that you set up. So make sure it's something that's unique. The username that you set up, make it unique. Right now we're using the admin user, which is not advised. And then for the password, it will just be the password that you set here. So your password must have strong characters. Okay, once you do that, you can change all these other details if you want to change these details about your database. And once you set up your database with all the settings, just click there to save, and you can connect your database successfully when installing WordPress. And if you want to visit your database and maybe import a database, you can go to phpMyAdmin, which is installed by default. So if you want to visit phpMyAdmin, just visit it through the domain that you set up. Okay, so visit it through that domain. If it doesn't work, you can try to figure out what the issue is. Before I end the video, I'm trying to figure out what else will be important for you here. Okay, let's go into DNS. Now here under DNS, you can see we do have one DNS zone for that. So you can look at the records for this, and then you can add those records on Cloudflare. You can just copy them one at a time and add them on Cloudflare if you're using Cloudflare. This is a text record, so you can copy it and add it to Cloudflare. Okay, just copy them as they are and then add them to Cloudflare. Let's see what else is important here before I end the video. Let's go into backups. It's important to have backups. So in this HestiaCP overview, let's look at backups. You can see we've already set up a new backup here, and you can even set up a new backup. Just create a backup. It's going to take a little bit, but my server is currently very small, so this is not really going to take long. So if this was my backup, I can download it. You can download it and keep it on your computer, or you can download it and move it to a different server. If maybe you're moving from one VPS to another, you can just download this, and then once you've set up a new server, then you can just import it. So to import, just Google how to import a database. You can do it very easily. Just upload it. Once you've set up your server like this, you can just upload it even via FTP, and then move it appropriately via SSH, and then you'll just run the backup. And you can Google how to do that. There is a very simple one line for how to do it on HestiaCP documentation. So just Google how to do that if you're moving from one server to another. So we've looked at DB. Let's look at mail. After we look at mail, we're going to see how we can maybe change various settings. Maybe you want to change something in PHP config file, or you want to change something in Nginx. We're going to see how you can do that. So here, the next step is domain. Maybe you want to add mails for this. You can add a mail domain here. So let's click there, add a mail domain. And of course, it is strongly recommended that you use a different user. So you can add a mail domain. Let's go back. For that, let's click on this. If you want to add an account, just click on the domain, and then you can add an account, and you can even edit the mail domain. Mail domain is the domain, like in this case, example.com. Once you add the mail domain, you can add the different mail accounts just like that. So the next step, let's look at how you can change different settings here. So let's go into our server. So most of this you'll need to do using the admin account. So if you want to restart the server, you can do that. You can look at your server logs. You can see if there are any updates, and you can also monitor the task to see how your resources are being used. You can also configure different things here. Maybe you want to configure all these different items on your server. Just click on whichever, all these items, anything that you want to change here. You can just click maybe web server. You want to edit Nginx. Click there and you can configure Nginx, backend server, PHP. You can configure that to change all these settings, but some of this you can just change them through here. So maybe you want to change something in Nginx. You can just come here and you click on edit, and that's going to bring you here, and you can change the different settings. Maybe you want to change the max body size. Maybe your server is crashing or timing out due to these times. You can increase the different times for this. You may want to increase this maybe to 90 seconds if you are experiencing problems whereby certain scripts are running out of time. So you can change that here. Then gzip, of course, you want to enable that. And then if you want to change the actual settings here, you can just click on advanced down here, and you'll be able to click on that. You'll be able to change the settings here. And then once you do that, you can just click on save, and it's going to restart Nginx. So let's go back, and if you want to configure, so depending on the PHP version that you're using, maybe you're using PHP 8, you can also configure the settings for that. And it's just the same thing here. You may need to change max execution time for various scripts. You may need to increase memory. Anything that you need to do here, you can just come in here and change them. And if you want to do them on the actual PHP INI file, you can also do that here. So that's just an overview of HestiaCP, and that's pretty much it for this video. So just remember, if you do want to add another website, you can just come in here, click on web, add another website, add the DNS records on Cloudflare, and that's going to work for you. So if you're using a subdomain and you want to add SSL, you can see mine doesn't have SSL yet. Make sure that on Cloudflare you add another one like that, okay? www.panel1. So that's required for SSL. You need the www version and the actual A record for that. I hope you understand what I mean, okay? A record for the main domain is that, and then I also have a www record for it, and then for this subdomain I also need a www version for it, and you just add it like that, www.panel1. And then you add it as a CNAME record for that. So I hope you understand this, okay? I've done videos about this in the past many times. That's why I'm going fast over this. You can find those videos, especially in the CyberPanel tutorial. Just look at the DNS videos. You'll learn a lot there. So if you want to add another website, make sure you add the records there. If you want to reduce the server load on your server, just use Cloudflare instead of using your server for DNS. So for this, let's enable SSL, and we want to redirect people to the non-www record. And of course, I'm going to use Let's Encrypt. So as soon as I do that, I can just click on save. The certificate will be generated for me, and it will be visible on my front end. And if visitors visit my site, they will be redirected to the HTTPS version of my site. So this has been a slightly long video, but I wanted to do an overview of HestiaCP so that in case I take some time to create other videos, you will still find your way around and you will not be lost in using HestiaCP, regardless of how long it takes me to push out the next video. So I hope this video has been tremendously helpful to you. If you're lost, just go to Google and search for the problem that you're having. The HestiaCP forum is very helpful, and you can also find a lot of help on GitHub. Okay, so I hope this video will help you to find your way around HestiaCP, especially after following along with all the videos that we've done so far. Okay, I will do a file manager overview. Unfortunately, I don't have any websites here, so let me see if I can create a sample first. But just as a note, the file manager is there. If you open that, you'll see your files, and you can manage your files here. So your web files will be inside there. Right now you can say I don't have any website. Let me see if I can create a sample. I don't have any domains I can use. Let's just see if I can work with a sample. So this is just a sample panel. I'm not using it for anything. So as soon as I'm done with this, I'm just going to delete it. So I'll just continue. And I can add a sample domain. And I will just save. So the domain has been created. And now if I come here and let me try to refresh, and we see if the folder will be inside of the web directory. Okay, you can see now inside of the web directory there, we have this directory for your website. So this is where you can add your website files. Your website files will be inside of the public HTML. You can see we have HTML. If you just click on it, you can edit it. Just by clicking on it, you can edit it. And once you're done editing it, you can save or close. If you want to create another file, you can just create there a new folder, a new file, whatever you want. Let's create something like PHP. You can click on it if you want to edit and add things inside there and save. And if you want to zip up, if you want to select a few things and maybe zip them up, you can zip them. If you want to delete, you can delete, copy, download, all this is there. You can select everything and zip them up. Where's zip? And zip them, create the zip, and you can download your zip file. So you can see this is a very simple file manager that you can use in HestiaCP. And once you're done with anything, you can just click exit to go back to the control panel. Select on the element and more features will be shown for you. You can download, copy, move, all that is there. If you want to go back to a different website, just click on web and you can go to whichever website you want to go to. So if you just click on this side for any file, you can do all these other things. You can unzip. Just because it's an archive, let's select a different file. And if I select a different file, I can download, view, copy, move, rename, and so on. You can copy the link and share the link if you want to do that. You can see it's a very simple file manager to use, and that's how to use the file manager for HestiaCP. If you compare this with Vesta, then you'll see that this is a great improvement from what we had. That's pretty much it for this tutorial. You've seen how you can work with Hestia Control Panel File Manager. If you want to go back to the control panel, just click there, exit. I will delete this domain. Select there to delete it. And there we go. So that's how to use the HestiaCP File Manager. How to delete, create, and download your HestiaCP server backup. So first of all, I will delete this backup. On the backup, you can just come there and you can click on delete, and that will delete it. You can also select it, and right there, you can select, delete, and then delete. When you do that, it's going to delete this backup. Let's see how we can create a backup. Creating a HestiaCP server backup is very easy. Just click there on create backup. I will click OK and give it some time to create it. Depending on the size of your server and the speed of your server, it's going to take some time, but it usually takes less than 5 minutes. So just give it some time and then come back and refresh. And once it is created, the backup will be shown there. I will refresh again after waiting, and this time around the backup is complete. So there's your backup. If you want to download the backup, all you have to do is come here and click on download. The first icon will download your backup, and you can import it in another HestiaCP server if you need to. So that's pretty much it for this video. In another video, if I set up HestiaCP, I will show you how to import the backup into the new server. So that's it for this video. How to delete, create, and download HestiaCP backup.